Okay, 3, 2, 1, and I think we are live. Let me just validate that everything is okay. Just giving it a couple minutes. All right. So we are at 9:02 Eastern. Thanks everyone for joining. This is the second session that I'm doing as live. So today, the purpose of this call is just to present you the new open source project that I'm working on, that I'm very proud of. It's called KubeRAG. So the KubeRAG is really to basically started initially from when I was building a lot of different rack solutions as just a experimental, and then there's a lot of different um, uh, features and different things that you can mix up together, or different technologies and different stacks that you can put together, and that's where the complexity comes from. Like you could, for example, build an agent with llama index and then uh, connect it to MongoDB, and then or do the Redis or different technology in different databases, and then all those technologies, they all have different complexity and how to manage the infrastructure, underlying infrastructure behind it. And then there are some people that have already maybe automated the whole process via the infrastructure as code or things like that. But I haven't seen anything that is really easy to do, at least. I've seen people deploying rack solutions on Kubernetes, and it's fairly easy and fairly straightforward to set it up on Kubernetes clusters. Although there is no easy way to just easy command or magical command to run in and kind of set up everything together without you having to do anything. So for me, I just wanted to easy command to just run with one command and be able to run the whole entire stack, database, everything set up for me as expected. Obviously, the version that I'm going to present today, it doesn't have all of those features. It does not cover all of the things that I want to talk about. So some of those are the things that are going to be in the future backlog, and something that one of the reasons that we open sourced that, it was to put it in the public so that people can also build different modules and different features for it. Um, but yeah, so so let me just get into the whole entire architecture and how the design comes in, and what are some of the technologies that we are using. So I will be sharing the actual repository URL with everyone, and it's public. So the repository called KubeRAG, there's different structure on that project. So starting from the top, so we have the README, and then we have the architecture, and right away we have this simple title saying that the whole purpose of this project is a simple Helm chart to automate deployment of a retrieval augmented generation solutions on Kubernetes clusters. So it's just the whole entire thing is just to automate setting it up. It's not to replace different technologies, not to replace or give any kind of a pattern on how you should be running your agents. Is mostly just to set up and the scaffolding of the infrastructure so that you can run it on Kubernetes. And then the reason we chose Kubernetes obviously is to leverage a lot of the different features that Kubernetes has, like scalability, availability, things that comes out of the box with Kubernetes. And then obviously a cloud native way to run these applications. So that's why we chose Kubernetes as a platform of the choice. But also it's a kind of a good opportunity for you because it provides you with a no vendor lock. So you're not locked to any sort of vendor. So you can, whenever you are running a Kubernetes clusters, or even at edge, you can run these solutions. So it should be fairly easy to run it on those infrastructures. So those infrastructure are everywhere, and it's no vendor lock. So that's the advantage of it. So if you're familiar with the Helm charts are simply just a way for us to template YAML files, and then so most of the infrastructure are the definition of what needs to be set up are written in YAML files, and then they are being set up as a Helm chart. So they are being templated so that it can be reused. So if you have different values, you can change it. So in the basic, usually for a rack solution, you're going to need a way to run your agents. So obviously you're going to have a container to run your images. You also have a data pipeline, data ingestion pipeline, where you would have to be ingesting a lot of data and processing that and all those things. And then obviously those things are really difficult to set up and put it together. And once you did it, it's fairly easy, but then repeating that, and if you have to destroy it and rebuild it and deploy it on different ways, it's really difficult. So the basics of the whole Helm chart is that it's going to set up a namespace. So everything is going to be a one single namespace. All the resources are in a namespace of the choice. In this case, it's KubeRAG. And then on top of that, you have your obviously your values that you're going to provide, whether it's your API key, your database URL, some specifications. If you're, for example, running Llama Index, or if you're choosing LangChain, so different engines, different Llama models, you can customize all of those things in a values.yaml. So the architecture is to really allow the user to customize as much as possible. And also, once those values are being set, all those going to be set in a config map on a Kubernetes cluster, so that those could be reused by containers and by the pod and the deployments. And then on a basic of things, we have two deployments, and then you can customize those deployments by swapping the images. So out of the box, there is going to be a basic application, actually in Python written, that provides you with the basic APIs. So all the upload, chat, those basic API endpoints are going to be set up, but nothing stops you from setting up your own agent and swapping the image that it will be showing to you in a bit. So you can literally take the image. If you don't like the basic agent, you can completely switch it to your own agent, or completely external agent as well. So yeah, on the basics of them, you're going to have the agent deployment, where it's going to be responsible for deploying the agent and controlling the pods for replications and other things. And then on top of that, you're going to have a service. So that service is really the one that's going to expose and kind of act as a load balancer as well. And then obviously kind of spread the traffic across the different pods and different applications. And then your data pipeline is completely separate. It's completely a separate service. You want to keep it separate so that you can scale it differently. If you have to scale the data ingestion pipeline separately, that's completely, you have that freedom. And then that's also exposed as a data pipeline service, which you would be able to communicate with it with your front end and your application. So we also would like to have it a metrics, so that it's kind of natively integrated with Kubernetes, so you have all your metrics there as well, so you can kind of evaluate and set up alerts and things like that as well natively. And everything else needs to be, whether it's your API key and things like that I mentioned earlier, some of those needs to be going as secret, in a Kubernetes secret. And then so at this point we are manually creating that secret, and that obviously we don't want to expose the passwords in a Git repository. But in the future backlog, what we're thinking is to use some sort of secret management solution, such as external secret. And so we would be able to at least set up the external secret, so that you can have your secret always synced in a Git as well. And then also sync it with your own vault or your secret management solution. So far this is the really basic version of the Helm chart. So really basic features, the setups. So it's really simple: a config map, a secret, a metrics, the deployments, the pods, and the services. And then in future we want to expand on it, whether we want to build our own MongoDB, we want to load our own local database, we can do all of those things as well, that I'll be discussing in a bit as well. So just to go back a little bit earlier, talking about the agent deployments. So those agents have some basic API endpoints, and those API endpoints, as I mentioned, are really basic. So the agent one would have probably a chat, retrieve, and things like that. And then the data pipeline would have something like upload, so that you'll be able to call this API and have your all your files uploaded, and then process, embedded, and index and store in the database. So let's get into the actual code and a little bit of the structure of the project. So there's two sections to it. So the KubeRAG is the actual Helm chart. So that's where you would have the actual templates, values file. So some default values that I just put in for fun, but you have to be able to switch it, and that's where you be able to customize it. So that's the agent image. That's what I mentioned earlier. You can actually swap that. And also we wanna make the other one, the data pipeline image as well, swipeable. So on the next release, and that also be added. And then that's where you would be able to set up your LLM framework, whether you want to have a llama index, langchain. There's different decision that gets selected based on that. You have your choice of database engine, whether you have your MongoDB, and right now it's only remote MongoDB that's supported. The next release that's going to be in a day or two, there's going to be add to actual local MongoDB database support as well, so you'll be able to set up the actual MongoDB community operator via that Helm chart as well. And then we want to expand that to different other type of databases, remote databases, and Azure, and all those, Azure SQL and all those things. And right now I'm only using the Azure endpoint chat GPT, but that's where we want to customize and be able to customize it later on. So going to the templates, as I mentioned earlier, so you have your config map. That's where you have most of your customization of the values that you set up in your default, or when you are installing it, you can also set those values as well. You have your actual deployments. So in this case, I have my agent deployment. It's a simple replications of the two pods. Right now it's only two for the replication. It uses the secret, it mounts a secret, it uses the environment variable for the config map and the secret, and it exposes it on the container on the port 5000. And then on top of that, there's a service that exposes those pods, and that is running on a TCP on a port 80 for the target port of the 5000, which is the one that our Flask app is running. And it also, as I mentioned earlier, it acts as a load balancer, so it load balances the traffic across those two pods. Same thing for the data pipeline. So data pipeline would be the one that responsible for ingesting your documents and things like that. And that one as well is replication of two pods. And then similarly, with the same thing, you also have the service running on the port 5001. And then you have your namespace set up and everything else that comes with the other parts. So really simple Helm chart, sets up the basics of the scaffolding, and so that everything is set up. On the orchestrator folder, you're gonna have the agent and data pipeline. So those are the sample agents that we provided, and that's where you saw those images. So in your deployments, those images are actually coming from your values, but it's the Docker build of these applications. So as you can see, I have a Docker file, so I can build this Docker file. If it's a Python app, uses my requirements. So I have all my requirements, the llama index and everything that requires right now for OpenAI packages. In the app.py, that's where you have your APIs. So as I mentioned, really basic API that right now it provides, the chat API, the basic one. And then you can put your input, and then it will return your chat result. And this one imports an agent file, so agent.py, and that's where you can also customize it or build your own agents, or you can completely get rid of that and again swap the image as well. But this is really the basic agent that I did a tutorial earlier on, couple weeks ago. so this is actually the deployment of the same agents on this one. So you can take a look at the code a little bit on how the agent is. This is a very simple research agent. So it's an agent that does some research based on some of the topics that you provide. So it does the Google search. As you can see, it does these steps of analyzing, searching, generating, and expanding, and formatting, and then sending the result via the email. So really basic agent that is provided out of the box to be able to use. And that's the goal. That's the goal, is to kind of like provide some sort of a generic abstraction on top of the LangChain or Llama index or whatever you're going to use in future. On the data pipeline side is a similar thing. As I mentioned earlier, we have some basic APIs. So we have the upload one that's in progress right now. And so that one would be the responsible for reading the data in the data folder. So we will upload the files. The files would get uploaded in the data folder. The load.py code would read that folder. It would read all the documents and everything, and then it would embed and index them via the model that you provided. And then in this case, we chose MongoDB, so we would store them in the MongoDB as well. And then in future backlog, what we want to do, we want to be able to expand that to a bulk upload or individual uploads or things like that as well. Yeah, so this is it. Really, if you really present it, it's really simple. It has the simple Helm charts that sets up the scaffolding, all the things that requires you for infrastructure, like a config map, your services, your deployments, some basic stuff that you're going to require whenever you're setting up whatever solution you're going to set up. And the purpose of it is to be able to customize, to provide some sort of a customizable as well, customization as well. So if everything is good, and I don't see any comments, I can get into the actual chat and the actual code and see how the code is actually set up. All right, so just to provide you again, similarly, we have the KubeRAG templates. So that's where we have all the templates again, everything's set up. So let me show you actually how this is set up on my local computer. I have a Minikube running on my local laptop. So if I do a kubectl get nodes, you'll see that I have a one single Minikube cluster on my laptop, just to be able to demonstrate to you how you can actually run those solutions on your local machine as well, just because I have a very local Kubernetes on my computer running. So in this case, if I show you what's running right now, you're going to be able to see, yeah, there is some pods running right now called KubeRAG. So there is an actual installation already on this cluster. So what I want to do, I want to completely get rid of that, and you're going to see how simple it is to kind of get rid of that installation. So you simply do Helm list first, just to see what's available currently. So you have as you can see, you have the installation of the KubeRAG. So I want to get rid of this, so I would just say Helm delete KubeRAG, and it says uninstalled. So if I see the namespaces now, I'll see that the KubeRAG is being terminated. So I can actually take a look at it and see when it's gonna completely get terminated. So if I look at it again, because there are so many different resources, it might take some time to completely get rid of everything. So I'll just wait until this is completely completed. But as you can see right now, I downloaded the latest release from the GitHub, which is the 0.003, but you also have that in the releases folder. So if I take the latest version, And let me take a look again, and I think by this time it's completely removed, and I can see, actually I can confirm as well that there is no more pods running with the name of the KubeRAG. Yeah, so it's completely clean. So let's do the complete installation from the zero. So as I mentioned, it really takes less than 5 minutes to set up everything. So that was the goal of the whole solution, is to really minimize the time that you need. With a very simple command, you would have everything set up and customized. So in this case, I'm saying, let's say helm install KubeRAG as my release name, and then I would select the actual package, which is this case is the latest version. If I do not specify any values file, it will take the latest, whatever is the default values is in this folder, which is those are valid for now, just for me, for the purpose of testing. But you can also do -F and then specify your values as a separate file as well, or do set as well to be able to set it up inline. So if I click right now, it says that it's set up. Perfect. It might need the secret, so it might actually tell you the error, because I have to create the secret as a manually as a separate step that we can go over. Okay, so let's take a look at it again. Okay, so it might not be working because it needs the secret. So let's take a look at it. Yeah, so I need to create the secret here. So in this case, I want the Azure. In this case, I don't really care, because I'm not really trying to demonstrate the running agent. So I'm just gonna put some dummy values for now. And I think I needed to create it under the namespace KubeRAG. I'm going to go and delete the other secret. Right. Okay, let's do the installation again. So let's delete the list. Let's see. Secret keyword not found. Yeah, so it's because the secret was not found. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's there. It's just because I need to reinitiate the deployment. So let's see kubectl. As you can see, so we're gonna explore actually the structure right now. So we can see there is a deployments. Yeah. Then so in this case, I just want to reinitiate my restart my deployments. So in this case, I would say kubectl rollout restart deployment this, and then under the namespace KubeRAG, restart it. So let me restart the other one as well. Restart deployment -n KubeRAG. So that one is started as well. Yep, so as you can see, now that the secret is present, all of them are running. We can also see kubectl get cm, so the config map. Under the namespace, we can see there is a KubeRAG cm. And then if I do explore that, yeah, so you'll be able to see that all those variables are set in the config map. So those are the ones that are coming from the default values Helm charts, but you'll be able to customize that whenever you're doing the your Helm install command. Yeah, so really this is it. Really simple. It's really just to provide you with the scaffolding. As I mentioned, right now not all the features are supported, so the basic agent is really around the llama index. That's where we need your help to be able to contribute to this project if you would like to. But in coming days you should be expecting some features such as local Mongo database, local databases, so that should provide some autonomy, so that you are able to completely natively run the full solutions on the Kubernetes cluster without needing any external resources. And then on top of that, we are going to add the private models, so to be able to run with the Ollama and connect that to the Ollama servers as well, which should be fairly quick, simple to provide this feature in the coming days. And then on top of that, we are going again another release, we're going to provide the support for LangChain, and then on the next release we're going to with the different other frameworks that are in the market right now. So really fast, really quickly, we added a lot of features. I'm doing a lot of work on that. So you should be expecting a lot of different features that are coming in the coming days. And then really the goal for us is to, my company is to use this open source projects and then customize it for different clients and even go deeper on that. And you should be able to see also some samples, some demo solutions that we're going to put out there in the next coming year. So yeah, so please feel free. Again, this is a GitHub project. You should be able to go on it and explore it yourself, and then please feel free to clone these projects, add to it, replicate it. This is under the MIT license, so you should be able to also use that for your commercial use. So really appreciate it if you give us a shout out, and also help us build this project to be able to facilitate that. And RAG solutions is something that came in this year and really become a very popular thing, but it was something that the enterprise needed it. If you want to build a knowledge base, if you want to build use those AI agents and on your own private data, that's where the RAG solutions comes in. A very cheap solution to set up, very easy to set up. So really this frameworks even makes it even better. So thanks a lot for listening into this call. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please send it to me directly. I'm going to do more sessions as I do more releases on this. So I really appreciate it. If you have any feedback, I'll be able to address that on the next call. So thank you with that, and I really appreciate it that you stayed along. That was a very quick 30 minutes call, but if you have any other things, let me know. Thank you very much and have a nice day.